Well, hello on the Rockers. On this episode, we spill the tea on musical theater with Broadway faves Wicked and Rent's Eden Espinosa, three-time Tony nominee Joshua Herny, Carousel Hamilton Boys of Scottsboro, and Barrett Foa from Foa. What is going on? And I swear, Foa from Godspell, Avenue Q, and more with me. Never appeared on Broadway, but I did get kicked out of a Broadway theater. Your favorite host with the sassy most? Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. Glug, 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 glug.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give it to him. I can't even with this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard courtroom drama. I mean, I wrote that one down. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, I don't even need to finish that joke. I just did it. Anyway, like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will be there. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can now listen to we are so close to 300 episodes for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Very proud. Coming at you, LA Pride. Even if you're not in Southern California, come to LA Pride. I will be your MC. Who's performing? Rebecca Black. So excited. But she's performing on Saturday, not on Friday. Wow, that was awesome. Eureka will be there. Bob the Drag Queen will be there. And, of course, headlining will be Miss Christina Aguilera. You go, LA Pride. Word of warning, today's shenanigans are being fueled by the vodka tastings of NEFT Vodka. Get yourself some. All right, let's get the show on the road. Let me introduce our guest co-host for today. Returning to On the Rocks, Barrett Foa, best known to TV audiences for his 12 seasons on the hit CBS crime drama comedy NCIS Los Angeles. But prior to that, he starred on Broadway in the Tony Award-winning musicals Avenue Q, the 25th annual Putnam Country Spelling Bee County,
Sure.
and was in the original Broadway cast of Mamma Mia. During his hiatuses from NCIS, he starred as Prior Walter in Angels in America Parts 1 and 2, as you do when you're on hiatus, just a little. He also appeared in the one-man multi-character hit off-Broadway comedy Cellar, was nominated for an LA Ovation Award for his portrayal of Oscar in Sweet Charity opposite Laura Bell Bundy, played Harold Hill in The Music Man, also wrote and conceived his solo show, Grin and Bear It, at, of course, Feinstein's 54 Below, and LA's Rockwell. The credits go on and on. Of course, he played Jesus in the 30th anniversary revival of Godspell, has done The Hustle and so many other things.
I?
Yes.
Sure.
I wrote it down. Also has appeared on Will and Grace, Entourage, NCIS, The Closer, Numbers, 6 Degrees. He was also on-air backstage host and social media correspondent for the Tony Awards twice. Please welcome my BF. Literally, get it? BF Barrett Foa.
Hi, it's so great to be back.
Hi.
I had so much fun last time. What was I here 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
And I get this call. You're like, I want you back. And I'm like, I want you back.
I want you back because what a perfect episode for you to come back. We are blessed by having some theater royalty here, which I'm very excited about. But real fast, I got so many questions asking, now that you've had this success on TV, and of course we know the success you've had on stage, now that you've had both, and you're in LA, and you're kind of like, I like LA, do you get any kind of itching, like, God, I want to do a Broadway show?
I do. I do all the time, which is why in the hiatuses of NCS LA, I would go back and do theater and like get those batteries recharged. That was really important to my soul. But now that I'm sort of settled in LA, I mean, kind of like also I do feel like that pandemic thing that
thing
like happened / is happening, like that sort of made me be like, I'm not really drawn to New York right this moment.
Right.
So let me just like hunker down here in LA. But also I was born and raised in New York City, in Manhattan.
That's your
so
home.
my family's there, my nephews are there, so like I'm always drawn back there, and my friends are there, and my Broadway is there. So so I'm always going back, and I always want to go back, and I will go back.
But you've been here for 10 years too.
Yeah, a little over.
And the weirdest thing, when you like do research on you, for some reason somebody put like all your house purchase and sales.
Oh my God,
That's
what the hell?
weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, don't do that.
No, it's odd, but no, I know. Okay.
But now people will look up.
I can rent your house when you're like in New York.
Sure.
Can you imagine? You come back and be like, wah, wah. What kind of show would bring you back? Do you just want to get back, or is there a particular show be like, this would be enough for me to come back?
I want to do a production of Venus and Fur. Anyone remember that play?
Nope.
It was a really good play. Nina Arianda won a Tony for it. Hugh Dancy was in it. It's this two-hander. It's fantastic, and I want to do it.
Are you just making up names at this point?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I want to see you come back and do theater. However, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I want. Yeah,
and now you have this whole different kind of fan base too.
I do. I know.
So
It's yeah. I would love to bring some of those NCIS LA sort of people to the Broadway, and then the Broadway to the NCIS LA, and like it's a
maybe
back
like
and
a
forth
musical
thing.
crossover.
Ooh, like an all tap dancing episode.
Yes.
in the Ops Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all for it. Okay.
I mean, we had LL Cool J, right?
I know
So-
he could do like a whole rap
yeah,
sequence.
I mean, geez. Okay, what were we thinking?
Anyway.
we missed opportunity.
Well, not to miss this opportunity, let's welcome our other Broadway faves of the hour, Eden Espinosa, most recognized for her critically acclaimed portrayal of Elphaba in Wicked on Broadway and in L.A. and in San Francisco. Other credits include originating the title character in Brooklyn the Musical, Flora the Red Menace, and Maureen in the closing company of Rent on Broadway. Also originated the role of Sadie Thompson in the world premiere of Rain at the Old Globe Theater. She portrayed Eva Perón in Evita, one of my favorite pictures ever that's ever been taken of any production. And toured Denmark and London playing Emma Borden in the rock musical Lizzie. She played Mary Flynn to rave reviews in Maria Friedman's production of Merrily We Roll Along, which the movie is still being made, by the way. It's still in production. Okay. Also, she was Daniela and Kennedy Sanders in The Heights. Also portrayed Anita in West Side Story for the BBC Proms at the Royal Albert Hall. TV includes the Disney Channel's Tangled the Series, Robot Chicken, Mad TV, Elena of Avalor, and Titan Maximum. Her debut album, Look Around, charted in the Pop iTunes Top 50 between Adele and Katy Perry, and her second album, Revelation, of all original music, is also streaming on all fabulous platforms. And I have to tell you, Revelation is it's a unique and powerful different side of Eden's musicality. So if you haven't streamed it, like, you just, like, even the first track, you're like, what? Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm going to look her up.
Yes.
Okay.
Also joining us, Joshua Herny, three-time Tony nominee, best known for portraying Haywood Patterson in Kander and Ebb's final musical, The Scottsboro Boys, for which he received a Tony nomination, portrayed the lead role of Aaron Burr in the first U.S. tour and Chicago production of Hamilton, and after Hamilton, he portrayed the lead role of Billy Bigelow in the Broadway revival of Carousel. Also appeared in the first Sex and the City movie when they were still getting along, allegedly. Also played the Tin Man in The Wiz at the New York City Center. Also appeared in Waitress on Broadway. I mean, when does this man sleep? Seriously. And he's a father of 3 kids.
What?
Yep. Currently seen in the Netflix film adaptation of Jonathan Larson's musical Tick, Tick, Boom, directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, as if I had to tell anybody that. Check out his debut album, Grow, now available. It also contains a fabulous reboot of everyone's least favorite audition song, Tomorrow. But you listen to this track and you're like, damn, that is how it's supposed to be done. So just click on that. Also, hot off the press, he will be announcing the Tony Awards this year with powerhouse Adrian Warren. Both Eden and Joshua will be joined by Megan Hilty, conductor Richmond Kaufman, and the CSUN Symphony for the Soraya's 10th anniversary celebration on Saturday, April 30th in Northridge, 7 p.m. Eden, Joshua, and Megan will be raising the roof with a program specifically curated by the Soraya, which includes songs from the late Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George, Company, plus, of course, numbers from Wicked, Hamilton, Carousel, and more. Please welcome Eden Espinosa. Eden, God, what is going on?
Slow down. Take a breath,
I'm just so excited.
Alexander.
And Joshua Herny. I haven't like one second.
You are cut off.
Welcome. Really, girl? I saw you on Instagram Live last night. Game night.
No more drinks for you.
Literally had one sip and I need more. We're going to spill the tea right off the bat. Your performances are so well known for your roles. Whatever highlight song your character does. A lot of these concert nights, they're like, sing this, because that's what you're known for. Like at the upcoming Soraya celebration. It's like, sing from Wicked. Do the 5-hour soliloquy from Carousel. And for you, they're like, Barrett, did you bring your puppet?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's like, yeah, I walk around with my puppet. But as an artist, as a singer, as an actor, what is it like continuing to revisit these tent poles of your career, and how do you keep it fresh for yourself most of all?
That's a great question. Go ahead. You want to take that?
No, you
Both,
first.
both. This is open forum.
I feel like, obviously, like something like Hamilton or Carousel that happened 4 or 6 years ago, I try to go back to that place of excitement when I just got the gig, when I just sang it for the first time. And I think for me, that's what makes it fun. I'm the kind of person that wants to just keep, I think like a lot of artists just wants to keep moving forward, but like you forget that these numbers that we've done and these shows that we've been in have such a big impact in people's lives and in our lives. So getting back to that place where it just popped off, for me is what brings the fireworks back.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I really like that answer.
I think that I mean, I have gratitude that people want to hear me sing these songs. I have to be honest and say I don't always feel like singing them.
Exactly.
Especially the older I get, but it makes me happy that people want to hear me sing Defying Gravity, that people are like, you were my first Elphaba, or, you know, and
that you can still sing Defying Gravity. I mean, that you should be grateful for in itself.
That's debatable, Barrett.
It's like, let's lower the key. Let's sing it in B. Arthur. But it is, you know, and especially when you have certain nights where they, you know, fly you in, you rehearse with a new conductor, a new orchestra, and you're like, okay, let's just do it. It's like, well, it's such a whirlwind, and yet that moment on stage, you have to be totally present, no matter what city you're in, no matter what kind of audience. And you guys have performed all over, you know, the nation, West End, so audiences definitely kind of change that energy. I just can't imagine making it fresh over and over.
Yeah, and outside the show context also,
Exactly.
You have to sort of like come in with your own like take, like who am I singing to and why is this fresh now? And so it's not just like in a general sort of concert setting where you're like, I'm just singing Defying Gravity to like the earth, you know?
Well, and I think what happened during COVID, a lot of the younger generation, or even, you know, just anybody, we ran out of content to watch. We ran out of the same albums to listen to over and over again. So I think even people that were not exposed to musical theater, and of course Hamilton came out during COVID, where everybody got to watch it on TV, Tick, Tick, Boom. So I think there's a lot more content that people were able to saturate and enjoy, maybe for the first time. You know, classics like from Sunday in the Park, we assume everybody knows, move on, but some people don't.
Right.
And it kind of took that time for us to be like, let's revisit art, shall we? Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I want to talk about your path to Broadway. Eden, you're an OC girl. I'm from OC, born and raised.
Woo, represent.
Started singing at 3, recording music by the age 10. Then after high school, you worked for theme parks, then the Young Americans, which is an organization, I'm going to be honest, I used to make fun of because I never got cast, by the way. I was like, why can't I be? And they're like, we don't want a Young American. It doesn't mean you dress like a Hot Topic and come to rehearsal. Like, it was not about that. It was like, it was, you know. The presentational style from Disney and even the Young Americans is very showy, very presentational. Jazz hands and white teeth, that's what we used to call Young Americans. But it was such a positive, I'm making fun, but it was such a positive performing group, you know, inspiring joy and music in many different audiences. But I know you from listening to your albums, from seeing you perform. You have such depth of acting in your voice. You're not just singing the display. You're not just doing the jazz hands. You're not just hitting the mark. There's shade and nuances, which is why I think you've been able to handle these roles that we kind of have ingrained in our mind, but make them your own. Were you able to kind of build that kind of acting through that when you were in this kind of highly presentational kind of atmosphere, which we know some people get trapped in that Disney type of performing. We've seen it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to name any names, but you know.
I get that. Like, it's not. Yeah. Not with you, Eden. Why? Tell us why.
Yeah, like what? How were you able to kind of add that kind of subtlety and inflection into that style?
Well, I was in the Young Americans for literally a hot second. They actually came to my school. And Bill and Milton started teaching our show choir. And then so I did a couple of shows with them, and then I never did anything else. So I wasn't with them for very long. Disney I worked for years and years and years. Wow. And I think that when I was there, There was more depth and nuance there. That I had a lot of my work ethic came from working there. They're watching you every single show and taking notes, and their standard is very high. So I think that I got a lot of my stamina and a lot of like doing 6 shows a day of the same thing. It's like, oh, I learned how to keep things fresh and be present. So, you know, but beyond that, I worked my ass off.
I just want to go back to 6 shows a day, not 6 shows a week,
Right,
6 shows
a
a day.
Yeah, I mean, they're
for
short. They're like
kids and
20
family.
minutes,
But still, like,
25 minutes, but still,
like,
in all sorts of weather, you know, sometimes it's really hot, sometimes it's raining. Yeah. And then like, you know, I reached a certain point where I had a nice run when I first came to New York. Like once I was doing like Wicked in Brooklyn, I had a good like 7-8 years where I was working pretty consistently. And then I kind of stopped, and I felt like I didn't go to college for musical theater. So I was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, and I felt like I needed a skill set because I felt like I was just flailing in the audition room, and I had this like suitcase of desperation, like hire me please, but I wasn't doing well in auditions. And so I kind of took 2 years off, and I went to the William Esper studio and took the 2-year program there that changed my life. And so yeah, that gave me an extra well of depth. But I've always been interested in the storytelling aspect of being a singer before I was an actor. And now I consider myself an actor who sings. So it's my favorite part.
Well,
It's my favorite part.
And I think that's the most important part of being a performer. You know, I think with this reality TV, we hear amazing voices, but then we hear them like in their 16 bars, right? And then we just hear like hit your highest note, your loudest note. And it's like, well, we've taken away that story time, especially, or that storytelling, especially in this age where we're just swiping.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the whole point of musical theater, is that the emotion is so much, we have to tell the story through song.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of, you know, you grab the mic and you close your eyes and you hit the highest note you can.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because both of you guys can hit the highest note. Then like
all the chairs on The Voice would turn around.
But
They'd be like,
also like your acting and like these two are absolute powerhouses. I've seen them in so many. I was actually like looking at the notes of in your bio, and I was like, wait, I saw you in this. That's not even in your bio. I was like, there's all these other things that I've seen you in that like didn't even make it. Like I have a lot of experience with you too, and your voices and your acting, and like it's very inspirational. And I do want to say, yeah,
I really appreciate that, because, you know, like you said, and I think Eden can talk about this too, but we're great singers. We're phenomenal singers.
yes.
There are a lot of really great singers out there and really great voices out there. And you start to, I think when I just got to New York, I realized that but everyone was shooting for, in the audition, the high notes. And what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, you don't just want to be, you know, high B number 5.
Right.
The difference is the way that you can tell a story through your lens, you know? And for me, that's always been the exciting thing. Getting to do a show like Carousel, where I sang a soliloquy that was like 8 minutes long. I really understood, and this was in 2018, that it's not about just that last note. It can't be.
Right.
It truly is about the twists and turns and everything, that's the doubts, and, you know, it's the unsureness of not knowing if you're going to get to the end of the phrase, let alone the song. And that's what I think that's what the masters, you know, that we aspire to, that we are inspired by, that's how they take this craft.
Well, and for both of you, singing songs that we know, even like with Carousel, you know, I was raised on the records, and so the records for Carousel was it was, you know, Shirley Jones and Gordon McRae, and people just have memorized this. And of course, Wicked, when that album came out, I mean, everybody was listening to over and over. And so both of you had to take on these kind of roles that we know exactly every inflection, every breath, every instrument, and then kind of surprise us with a new take and also make it part of your life. Even we got this from your fans is, you returned to the role of Elphaba a few times. What is it about the role of Elphaba that draws you back or drew you back, and what part of you really kind of clicked with her?
Well, I kept going back because they kept asking me. And honestly, I just loved my time with that show and that role. And I felt like that's
not necessarily the journey of every Elphaba out there. Every actress who's played Elphaba.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool and refreshing to hear you be like, I enjoyed my time. That was a great time. Just vocally and just because it's such a tiring and huge role, and it's
yeah. This is something that like we talk about a lot. I think those of us, we kind of have this sisterhood where it's like you only know how difficult it is if you've done it. Yeah. But I feel like because I was there in the beginning before it became such a head trip for so many women who have played it, like I didn't suffer a lot of the mental
interesting
rigmarole that some women have.
I wonder if it was that Disney 6 days a week thing where you're like, I got
possibly,
this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I was a child.
Which is good. Sometimes you're like, I didn't know.
I didn't know any better. I was just like, But I felt like every time I revisited it, I had grown as a person, as a woman, and my take on the character also deepened and it grew. And it wasn't until when I was done, I knew I was done. Like I felt, I think I've given everything. I think I've learned that all I need to learn from playing this character, and I would be doing a disservice to the role if I continued, because I was just, my heart just was like, I'm done. But I was bullied a lot in school growing up. I was bullied a lot. My mom pulled me out of school because I just would like cry and I didn't want to go. So that act one, Elphaba, really was a beautiful, like, it was cathartic for me to, although painful, to revisit some of those moments of torment, of ridicule, of people pointing at you and laughing and making fun. And I also think it's for whatever anyone thinks of the show, it's one of the most beautiful arcs, like from beginning to end, if you really like dig into every moment and carry the previous scene with you and have it build upon each and every moment. It's like such a cool arc from beginning to end that it's just so satisfying.
Well, and that's such a good point. I think maybe, and this is just my opinion, you guys can't really be that honest because, you might, want to be in the movie. But I think some of, it's like, let's get this tour out. Let's do it in this country. The show has gotten kind of bombastic, I think, and it's played the end at the very beginning. And I had the distinct pleasure of sitting next to Winnie Holtzman for an event. And we were just sat there shooting. I didn't even realize it was her until somebody's like, you realize who that is? And our conversation was...
She wrote the book to the musical Wicked.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
We were talking about how, just to your point, Eden, these girls are kids. They're just like us in school. And there's this, even with Glinda, there's this, innocence, but there's also this fragility. And it's like going through puberty. It's exactly all of those feelings. And it's that gentleness. And it's like, you can't play the end of this musical in the first act or else you lose. Like you said, this beautifully done arc.
You did such a great job with that, because I saw it in New York when I was doing Avenue Q, and then I later saw it when I was here in LA, and that's when we sort of like reunited, like in the basement of the Pantages, doing like Bob Krakauer classes.
Yes.
And like sort of like getting back to like on camera acting while you were doing 8 shows a week. in like the toughest role ever, and it was just I just love that you were like, no, I still want to work during the day, even though I'm doing the show.
That's insane. That's insane to me.
Yeah, I want to get better, and also like I want to be hired on like television. Come on, I want to.
I mean, yeah,
right?
That's the goal, right?
And thank God for Bob Krakauer.
Thank God.
But he's sort of our like acting guru guy. But have you taken Bob, Joshua? You don't need to.
I haven't, but I've heard of him.
You're like like I work all the time. I don't need to take class to.
I don't.
Fine.
Why would I take class when I can work?
When
That's really what I'm trying to say. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
The real Joshua Herny.
Amazing.
Because that soundbite.
Because yeah, just take that. But Eden, I mean, I feel like I remember seeing you in Brooklyn on Broadway, the musical Brooklyn on Broadway, and like
the debut,
just like a total killer vocal powerhouse, like jaw dropping. But then again, years later to see you in LA star in Wicked, and I just got this memory of being in the basement of the Pantages, doing on-camera acting class with you, and then somehow you being like, come to the show tonight, you can sit in the booth. I sat in the lighting booth or the sound booth.
Really?
Yeah, because it was sold out.
Of course.
And like I sat in the booth, like, and I was very uncomfortable because there wasn't really a place for me, and I was like in everyone's way. But like they were so nice to have me. It was just so cool to see.
Oh, that's amazing.
To see that, and to see. I was like, oh, there's that good acting at work. Not to mention the fantastic vocals. I'm just buttering you up now.
And it was one of the most successful LA productions in history.
Oh, didn't it like run and run and then run and run
Yes.
and then extend more?
It's
set.
And then came back and then came back. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Sort of like what Hamilton is doing now, right?
That's right.
Well, speaking of Hamilton, what a great transition!
Ooh, great
Watch,
segue.
look at me, look at me being a good co-host.
No, that is so awesome. Well, so yeah, let's definitely talk about Hamilton. Joshua, we got so many questions. Of course, you were in the ensemble of the off-Broadway production of In the Heights, then the Broadway version of In the Heights, then Hamilton, then Tick, Tick, Boom. Safe to say you enjoy working with Lin-Manuel. This comes from a fellow actor. Can you talk about your relationship with Lin, and what do you think that you've taught each other as people in the business?
Great question. Watching Lin throughout the years, now he's got his Hollywood star right outside the Pantages.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
For real, yeah. But he's the same dude. He's the absolute same dude that I met in 2006 when he was just having his fingers crossed that this off-Broadway show was going to go off and doing great things. He's like a genius, goofy, family-oriented guy who's so loyal to the people that he comes up with. And I think what I've learned from watching him is just to continue to stay humble and to just be, just continue to learn, be a student. That's the biggest thing that I've learned from him. Seeing him direct now, seeing him as a writer, every hat that he puts on, he's just hungry to learn more. And he's got that kid-like innocence with everything that he does that makes it you just like, oh, are we in a sandbox or a production that has career ramifications? And I think what's cool, the cool thing about him to me is, he's been so vocal about like, dude, I've been in every one of his stage musicals now, I think in one way or another, whether it was physically or, a voiceover thing, like in Bring It On, I sang a song that was part of the show. And he really respects my work ethic as well as my talent. And it's really cool to know someone before they pop off and the world knows them as a thing. And you just have this kinship with someone who you see the way that you work and you see the hunger that they have. And I think he really sees that in me and continues to see that in me. And that feels really good because that's what I strive to be.
Joshua, I want to know what you learned about music from church, because you actually started in music as a kid in church. That's kind of where I started, but I was in Catholic church, so it was not probably as fun as anybody else.
They didn't have tambourine.
Are you kidding? A Catholic does not know beat or anything. It's like a tambourine, whatever. Except for the youth mass, never went over well. Anyway, but I want to know, mess. And Eden, you know about youth masses in Southern California. It's a mess, girl. But Joshua, I don't know what, from your experience, you learned about music. I do have to say, I learned sight reading. I learned harmony. I learned kind of storytelling. Also, how to be humbled behind the music, because the energy should be towards what you're singing about rather than you as the star. But what takeaways do you have? Because you're an accomplished musician as a singer-songwriter as well as a Broadway performer, which are totally two different things, as both of you know, having released your own music.
I think the first thing that I learned from singing in church is the last thing you mentioned of really tapping into being able to serve something bigger than the sound of your voice or the performance of your instrument. That's what you learn in church, because it's not about you. You know, it's about serving something bigger. And now being a storyteller, whether it be the music that I write, or the musicals that I've been in, I kind of took that in, and it was like, it's not about just the things that you can do. It's how you are of service. And musically, like growing up, I grew up in a Black church. Like sometimes they would be like, hey, just go on the drums and play. And you just jump in and you find your way, whether that be on the piano or the bass or the guitar. In my little small church, it wasn't an option. You was just like, try to play two chords. And so it was this crash course of become a musician, like right now, and everyone was just so supportive of it. Look at old Josh trying to do something on that bass guitar. You know what I mean? Barely could hold it. But it was that environment of just like, jump in and use your ear, try to find the right chord, the right note, and realize that even if you mess up, that it's not really about you. It's about this serving this high thing. Those two things I learned later on being in New York, that a lot of people don't, move with that sort of, those kind of ideas, and I think that really, really helped me well when it came to, or served me well when it comes to making my own music and trying to be of service to music that other people have written.
If I could have had a thimble of that, of what you're talking about, just a thimble, just go, you got this.
But also,
because I'm such
not being afraid.
I'm such a perfectionist, and I feel like the fact that like I didn't grow up with any religion or church, so it was like you were under a microscope, and we live on the Upper East Side, and everything has to be perfect. That's another story for another day, and my therapist. But like I love just like, it's church, like go, like you got this, like we're all serving God, like that's...
And also making a mistake and not being like, you know what, I messed that up. Great. We never applaud ourselves for the mistakes that we make.
Thank you for that. I'm going to take that on now. I'm just late in life.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Joshua, I know that you have to go soon, but we just have to talk about this. We talked about it on the last time you were on, and it struck a chord because I got many messages about it. And I know it's a subject that's been talked about, but I think the group we have tonight has a very unique perspective. And of course, we're going to talk about woke Broadway. Certainly the scope, casting, material, audiences has changed over the last decade for Broadway and even mainstream media. Joshua, not only have you played Billy Bigelow, a role usually played by a white man, you also received a Tony Award nomination for your work in Kander and Ebb's last show, The Boys of Scottsboro, a show that generated a lot of controversy, by the way, kind of ill-informed controversy, I would say. But as a Black artist, you are front and center in this kind of woke atmosphere, and I think that's a term that gets overused, but just to be succinct. First, this question I got from another actor: what was it like working on a piece like the Scottsboro Boys with an all-white creatives team at the helm? And do you think that musical was kind of ahead of its time? But we're dealing with Kander and Ebb, we're dealing with Stroman, talking and presenting a story from the Black community. That must have been an interesting experience.
Yeah, with David Thompson, who wrote, I think, the book for Chicago as well. It was a mixed bag of a lot of things. And I think in the lens of this moment, I just want to be honest about all that it was. Okay. It was like my first principal role, super excited to do that. And it was an incredible creative team. And it was also the true story about these 9 Black men that this tragedy that happened around them. And so holding all that was very heavy for me. But I will say what was cool about Scottsboro Boys, even though it was an all-white creative team, was we would have times where we would just sit down and they would very much say, listen, we know that this is not us. You know what I mean? Like, this is, how would you say this in this song, like, that's called literally Shout? And for those who don't know, shouting is like a church term for, you know, when it's like a big praise celebration. Yeah. So John Kander, the legend, and Susan Stroman we'd sit down in a circle and we would talk about these things. And that felt really empowering, and I felt heard throughout the process. And I think a lot of people don't know that.
That's amazing.
They just look at the fact, you know, the sort of optics and,
right.
You know, they don't know that. So I often say that. And in this moment, no, I don't think that would fly. And I think that's also a good thing. There are people who have desires to put on shows, but there are voices that can actually say it better and more directly to the source. And I think that's what's important about this moment. And I'm so grateful that I had that experience to know that, yeah, there people have the desire and the heart to want to tell all these stories. And that's an amazing thing. And just, it's a pendulum that has swung in an amazing way. And we're at a place where we want people, well, authentic stories told by the people close to them. You know what I mean? Did that come right? Authentic stories being told by, you know, in my case, like a Black story, like I want a Black director. You know, that's where I'm at. That's where we are collectively. And I think that's a really good thing.
You know, it's a progression. We had the BLM protest here in Los Angeles, and there was a bunch of people from our community, probably our same friends, that were the influencers, and they were doing the selfies, and they were making the signs, and it's like, this is not your time right now. This is not your time to be in the spotlight. This is not your time to be on the microphone. This is your time to just be present for somebody else that needs the microphone. And so it sounds like there's that kind of evolution. And Eden, we know that the casting for Wicked has also evolved and changed from what we originally thought. It's like, what are the norms in casting, like a fairy tale, so to speak, right? But there were certainly those norms that we thought
someone who's
like,
green,
right? But also, and we know now with the movie Eden. Did you know that the movie's now going to be 2 movies?
I heard the news
announced today. But even with the role of like Fierro, there's changes. But, and I want to ask you both, because it's a hot topic, is there's such a highlight now on being woke and the wokeness quality of a project. Has it become almost like it's stunt casting, or has it become media bait, or do you think it's a sincere part of this evolution? And I have to tell you, I get press releases every day. And some of the woke headlines really surprise me, because it's like, that is not sincere. That's not, you know, that's stunt. I would love all of your takes, and you especially, as, you know, before white men were the leads in all the Broadway shows, and that has certainly changed. So I would love your opinion on this.
I think it can be 2 things at the same time. I think that it is sometimes just to put a Band-Aid on something, or for the optics of it. I think sometimes it is the best person for the role. I think sometimes people are cast to what's the word I'm looking for? To be incorrect,
right?
You know, in today's time, and then it's like, oh, that person wasn't right for this role. Do you know what I mean? And I think all the things can be true at the same time, but I think it's necessary, and I think that we have to go through all of these processes to get to what needs to be the new norm, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I agree, Eden, and it's when you call it, a movement starts, you know, there's just going to be, everyone's pinballing down to get to hopefully a great solution. Some people just don't know. Some casting directors just don't know. Some, you know, some of these theater owners just don't know. And it's not to give them a pass, but it's like we have to understand that people need to be educated. They're great organizations. There's so many, Broadway Theater, Broadway Advocacy Coalition, Broadway Theater United, so many that are helping the entire theater community understand what the work that needs to be done. But yeah, what you said, Eden, is really important. We have to hold that everyone's not going to get it right.
Right.
And that's part of when you're trying to make a move, that's part of what it is. And it's hard to be patient, and it's hard to be understanding, because if you're like, oh, you should know this by now, or, but that's what this moment is. It's fact.
Yeah.
Great. I'd love.
Me
as the white man in the room.
I gotta say, I'm actually just, especially in the past couple of years, my eyes have really been opened, and I love not. I didn't think that I would love seeing stories that were not about me. I mean,
I know exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
What you're saying.
I'm like, no, I mean, like, I just sort of want to see, like, people who sort of like in general, like, but maybe not consciously, but I was like, no, I'm gonna pick up this book because, like, someone looks like. But
it's
now I'm
in
like,
your comfort zone.
It's in my comfort zone, and I was always fed that. And now I'm like, I don't want to see anything else that looks like me. I'm so bored of this. What is this? Like, who are these people? Like, I love that that my mind finally was blown, and it's so embarrassing and sad that it took this long for me, but I'm sure a lot of other people, to have that sort of awakening where I'm like, I can't get enough of like stories of people that don't look like me and have not had my experience. So I'm going there, and I'm also getting more bold with like sort of my queerness. And that's sort of like is making me more sort of just a little less like I'm a white guy who has blonde hair in a box.
In a green hoodie, you're going to tell me you're more connected with your gayness?
I am.
Girl.
Gayness doesn't look one way.
Yeah.
I'm teasing, Eden.
I know.
You should have seen my outfit last time. It was
a jockstrap, and that was it.
It was a jockstrap.
Woo!
So again, you were talking about pendulum swinging,
Oh,
Joshua.
my Lord. It was a short episode. Anyway.
What?
Just teasing.
Wow.
And you know what? I think with all of this conversation, it's also okay to question.
Yes.
It's okay to question those around us. It's okay to ask questions that we think maybe are dumb, but it's also, we're also allowed to question, hey, are you doing that just to check a box? I'm not comfortable with that. We have every right to challenge even our best friend in terms of this kind of evolution that we're all writing. We're going to look back on this 20, 30 years and be like, God, that was an interesting time for us, wasn't it?
We were pushing. I want to keep pushing. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a little uncomfortable, but it's exciting.
Yes. All right, Joshua, I know that you... Yeah, Joshua, I know
Exactly.
that you need to go. Eden, can you stick around for a little bit? Because we have some other questions.
I can.
Okay. So before you go, Joshua, can you play a little truth or sip?
Ready.
Okay.
I go on.
So this is for everybody.
Also, are you in college with that solo cup? What's happening with that solo cup?
He's straight. Give him a break.
Look, I'm totally drinking.
So cute.
Hydrate, girl. Hydrate. You got
it.
Okay, so this is for everybody, real fast, and we have to do it real rapid fire.
Okay.
You either answer it or you have to take a sip, and okay. So least favorite role you played could be in high school. You're like, oh God, I hated that role.
Oh.
Truth or sip?
Oh my God. I played ready for pendulum swinging. I played Ling, Chinese convert number 2 in Anything Goes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Sorry.
Eden.
I'm still stuck on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
We can unpack that.
I
I want to own that. Yeah.
I would say Lori in Oklahoma was my least favorite.
Oh wow. Okay. Joshua.
I played a Kit Kat boy in what's the name of the musical?
Cabaret.
Cabaret.
Oh my God, that would be so fun. You get to never mind what you get to do.
I mean, it was like midriff and tight pants. It was one of my first professional gigs. I was like, okay, all right.
Gay for pay. Okay. Next question. Either answer or you take a sip. Ariana Grande in Wicked, yay or nay? The thumbs up, thumbs down, or take a sip? All three at once. Oh, sip.
Can I do it? Can I do a thumb in the middle?
Nope. That's a sip, is what that is.
I
so.
want to. I'm interested to see.
Well, now you're gonna have two
Same.
movies to sit through. Josh was like, I took a sip.
I'm a really big fan of a lot of her songs.
Same.
Okay. Now, every actor has this. Even if you're in the best role, favorite role, there's always that moment that's your least favorite moment of the night. You're like, oh God, now I got to do this. Whether you got to be hoisted up, or you got to sing this note, or you have to do a scene with this person. What was your least favorite moment on stage for one of your major roles?
Okay.
Yes.
Room Where It Happens. After that,
Oh.
there's like 20 seconds until you have to pretend like it never happened. You come right back on stage, lungs fiery, sweats. I mean, it's like running a 100-meter dash, and then you have to just go. That feeling of burn, I don't know if I want to feel that again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you always know that that's coming, just like at that high G of soliloquy, like you know that it's coming.
Just the feeling of, ouch, ow.
And I got to pretend.
Yeah.
Eden.
I would say on Broadway, because Broadway has Wicked on Broadway has certain things that the other productions don't, because the stage is raked and they have different lifts and different traps doors, and so kind of the same thing as what Joshua said, like running off after the fallen house scene, going down, hoisting your dress over your shoulder, going down a ladder backwards underneath the stage through the orchestra to the trap, going Fiero, and you're like
terrible.
Yeah.
with like a 35-pound dress.
There was a moment in Avenue
Never
Q.
fun.
There was a moment in Avenue Q called the Money Song, where it just goes on forever, and you're like, you have to go into the audience and ask them for money.
Oh, I hate doing.
and it just
I hate
keeps
doing audience interaction. I'm
going
sorry.
and going and going, and you're just so tired. You've been on stage the whole time, and you have a puppet on your arm, and you're sweating. Okay.
Okay. This one's real fast. Have you ever hooked up with somebody during a performance? And Joshua, you're kind of out of this because you married your high school sweetheart, right? Oh, he didn't say no.
Oh, college, yes.
Okay.
College, okay. Have you ever hooked up with somebody during a performance?
During
During-
You mean like
performance.
as the show's going on?
Yeah, and it could be for any of your roles. Obviously, you didn't have any time in Wicked, but there was no. Okay.
You're not talking. So you're not talking about on stage choreographed things.
No. Like between scenes with the chorus.
That
boy
sounds so
or-
hot, but no.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not good.
I'm
Don't do
sorry
that.
for you. I'm sorry for you. Okay. Have you ever hooked up with a fan?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
That's dangerous. I
Wow.
don't care how.
There are some cute boys in the lottery. They won the lottery
sure.
like up front. This is Avenue Q. This is very young. But we'd meet after the show, and then we'd have a drink, and then it was
Yes.
proper.
You're like, okay, let's go.
No judgment.
Okay.
No
Proper.
judgment.
Last truth or sip, song that you were asked to perform that you were just like, okay. Truth or sip. You don't have to answer it if you want to.
I feel like
Sip.
yeah, go for
Sip.
it.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Purpose is it's a song that needs backup boxes singing behind you. It doesn't like totally hold up on its own. You need your backup people.
That's such a PC answer.
Same.
No, but
No,
it's
my answer is the same. It's Once Upon a Time, and it's for the same exact reason. If it doesn't have a full band and the backups to go with it, it's a no.
yeah. Yes.
Joshua.
I'm gonna say, and this is gonna surprise a lot of people, because I love this song. But Room Where I think it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very long, wordy song with
Yep.
very specific places, and nobody really kind of pays attention until you go, I want to be, and they're like, okay. And you're like,
They're
I
like, who's
was there for
Theodosia?
like 6 minutes, like,
Yeah.
killing my mind. I'm like, so that can be, not gratifying from time to time until you get to that last chord.
Or people that might book you and not know the song so well, be like, hey, can you do Hamilton as a one-man show? Or, can you do Popular just by yourself? It's like,
Yeah, that doesn't.
no.
No.
I mean, you can make the solo version, but it's like, that's not really it. Okay, Joshua, what can we expect from you at the Soraya, which you can get tickets at thesoraya.org, by the way, Saturday, one night, only. To get these three powerhouses in one roof.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Can I just say I'm so excited to sing with Eden?
Yeah.
I don't think
I would be too.
We've never done this before.
Amazing.
We haven't, and I'm so excited.
I cannot wait. Can we spill like what one thing that we're doing?
I was gonna say, can you please?
I don't care. Yeah.
We're gonna sing a Sondheim selection. Called "Move On."
Yes. I was
No
gonna say,
way.
Please let it be "Move On." Okay.
Yeah.
I think I might be
I
there.
cannot wait. And you know, I'm probably gonna tape our rehearsal because
You better put that
I've
on
never sung
Instagram.
with Eden before. What's that?
You better put that on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I just can't wait. I love Eden's voice, and I love her as a person and what she stands for, and just I can't wait to perform with you.
Okay, so let's talk about the song. When we talk about, songs that we know how it sounds over and over. Move On is a very difficult song because you have to be a great storyteller, but then you also have to hit the notes. Joshua, I'm so excited to hear a man sing Move On. Because anyway, past versions haven't been, I'm Mandy Patinkin.
Okay.
Anyway. But also, we've lowered keys for certain performers to be in that show. I'm not going to name any names. Brokeback Mountain. But, so I'm very excited.
He was great. Who cares?
Do you notice how high your voice got? You are Mandy Patinkin right now.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but it's going to be great. But what does this song mean to you? Because it's such a great universal song that the meaning does change whatever you're going through in your own life. And it can evolve for you. It's meant many different things. It's meant an actual moving for me. It's been saying no to a relationship. It's what does Move On mean to each one of you?
I have 3 kids now, and sometimes I think about the performer and the person I was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I try to move like that person. I try to think and I try to feel like, and it just doesn't work. And so moving on, you have to continue to just move on in your life and be willing to dare to think differently and to be a different person sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think, so that lyric for me, as I was going over it today, again, to try to memorize the 6/4 and the 4/4 and everything like that.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, it just made me think about that. It's super personal for me, that lyric, "Move On."
Yeah, for me, it's like the whole song is very profound. It's just, that idea sort of, for me, it's like there is no right or wrong. Don't put meaning on that. But it's like the simultaneous forward motion, but being present for everything. The choice may have been mistaken. The choosing was not. To just make the choice, and it's not good or it's bad. Whatever you choose, that's what it was supposed to be. I mean, anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new. That's just being authentic and being original and just not getting stuck on, meanings of things, and just, it's so deep, and I cannot wait.
Oh my God, I cannot wait either.
Look at how passionate we all got just from that song. I can't even think about that song, and I'm thinking and feeling all the things that you're feeling. I also read that James Lapine book over the break. So good. It just it's like that, and then there's other songs. But yes, I can't wait to hear you sing it.
Yeah. Joshua, can you tell everybody where you want them to find you and follow you? Because I know you got to get going.
So you can find me on the gram, on the TikTok, which I'm really about right now, Joshua Herny Official. Those are the 2 places where you can find me. It was so great to talk to y'all. I'm so excited to perform with the Soraya. Thank you for having me, and keep moving on. That's all I got to say.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye. See you in a few days.
All
Bye,
right, see you
Joshua.
later.
Bye, thank you. All right, so Eden, another question we got from you is, how did you make that transition from OC girl to being the standby for Adina, playing it for a month? How did you get from Broadway all the way from Anaheim?
I packed up my stuff and moved across the country.
I mean, I know there's no like clear path, but people are very interested. It's like, because they want to make that journey to Broadway.
Yeah, there is no clear path. There is no right way. There is no, here's a handbook and here's what you need to do. I fortunately had auditioned in LA for the workshop of Brooklyn, the musical, which is what took me to New York. I did the workshop in the summer of 2002. And when that was over, I went home, and 2 weeks later I packed up my stuff and moved to the city. And because I did that, there were a lot of industry people there. I got my agent through there. I got my former manager through there, through that workshop. And so, yeah, that's how I came to New York. And then I just, hit the pavement, just auditioned nonstop. And then, my sights were always set on Brooklyn because that, I originated it, and it was like,
How long did it take to get from workshop to Broadway?
Ooh, what a good question.
We opened in 2004, so about 2 years.
Yeah.
We did an out-of-town tryout in Denver. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't as long as most.
But you were with it for a while, and you were the only person. You were the only person in that role. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then they did a tour. They did a tour with Diana DeGarmo. Diana DeGarmo played Brooklyn.
Trust. All right.
Yeah.
What was the big hardest thing to adjust to as an OC girl in New York? And like auditions in New York are way different, obviously, than auditions from LA. It's like, what? Am I in Germany? Like, what? It's intense in New York.
Yeah.
What was the hardest thing for you to adjust?
I think the seasons, first of all, we don't really have seasons in Southern California. So the seasons were something to adjust to, but also I had performing jobs in Southern California that I was singing constantly. Yeah. And so when I moved to New York, I didn't have my car to sing in by myself, and I didn't have, jobs at Disney or Universal, or, I wasn't singing every day. And this was the first time that like, I went to an audition like early in the morning, and I did like a light warm up, but like I hadn't been singing every day, and my voice, and I remember I sang, it was for something called the 60s Project or something like that. And I sang Natural Woman, and I was like, looking down, and the verse was great. And then I was like, but you make me feel, you make me feel. Like, if my voice was like not there. And it was the first time that I was like, oh, it's because I'm not singing every day. Yeah. And that's when I realized that, oh, your chords, you need to keep them in shape. So
I have to go and sing in my car. Bye.
Yeah, no, because like that's a nice little like alone time, right?
But it is like you can shout, you can hit the wrong note, you can crack whatever, but you get that kind of moment. But it's also that kind of meditative moment, and we know it takes an hour to get to any audition in LA. So
it's so funny. My little bye, Eden.
Oh,
are you going to the bathroom?
No, I'm here. I'm just getting my my iPad is
Brooklyn.
It said like it needs to be charged, so I'm getting my charger.
We're getting the real experience, folks.
Yeah, the real experience, the real cabinets, original cabinets.
Is there paranormal activity in your kitchen? Because all your cabinets are open, by the way.
Because also I'm leaving for 3 months. When I leave on Thursday, I'm leaving for 3 months, so I'm getting my apartment ready for a subletter, and I'm packing boxes, and
Eden, have you performed with Megan Hilty since Wicked?
Yeah, I have been a special guest for a few of her concerts over the years, but it's been a while.
That's gonna be how fun.
Megan and I, like, she's the Glinda that I did it with the most, and she just forever has a piece of my heart, and I always cry whenever we sing For Good. Like, we both just instantly weep.
We'll be seeing some of that, hearing some of that on Saturday? Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good. For good.
Oh, good.
That's another song I think also evolves with you.
For good?
Oh yeah.
100%.
Sure.
Because it could be about parent relationships, siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends.
It's true.
Yeah.
Can I give you? Can I? I'm gonna strip away some stuff right now.
Oh, we're getting real.
Ready? I was in Avenue Q. And Wicked was opened the same season as Avenue Q.
Right.
And Wicked was like the big juggernaut that was going to win the Tony.
Yeah.
And then Avenue Q won the Tony for Best Score, Best Book, and Best Musical. And so like we sort of had a little bit of like a rivalry.
Yeah.
With Wicked. And because we were like, no, we're just like Scrappy and puppets and like, but we have like a lot to say and it's cute and it's about you and me. And there was always like, so I have a little place in my heart that's like a little like, Wicked. Like in a way that most people are like, but I love Wicked. Wicked's the best. It's like I have a little.
That's so cute though. That's the behind the scenes.
I know. That's why I wanted to tell it.
Yeah.
So it's like a little place in my heart that's like doesn't really want like Wicked to succeed. Even though, funny. And I just wanted to admit that even though Stephen Schwartz gave me my big break, and cast me in Godspell.
Love it.
But they're just such different sort of. They're such different musicals, and here's the thing. Here's the good news of all of it. Wicked clearly didn't need to win the Tony because it is still running on Broadway, and there's 2 movies that are about to be made of it. Whereas Avenue Q never would have ran, and for certainly for as long as it did, if it didn't win all those Tonys.
And also, when you look back at Broadway history, what won and what didn't win, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because that was like Carolina Change as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a crazy year. I remember.
Taboo.
And I have to tell you about Wicked because it was such a sensation. You know, Hot Topic boy here was like folding my arms, like I'm not gonna like this. I want to see Carousel again. Like that's what I was raised on, and so Wicked was like, and so I wanted to hate it. And then second act, I'm just like, like the tearful, like sobbing. But I went into it like.
Meanwhile, I'm like, where are they when there's like this part that happens in the Emerald City?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I never understand that part. Anyway, I always wanted to ask.
I wonder how they're going to do that in the movie.
What's going on?
Frankie Grande is going to come out in one of those outfits. But I've always wondered that. No matter how many times I've seen the show, every time that part comes on, I'm like, okay. So Eden, let's move on, shall we? Eden's like, We recently celebrated a milestone in the history of the musical Rent. We got this question a few times for you. Can you share a little bit about the emotional experience of playing Maureen in the closing cast of this Broadway production?
Wow.
Yeah. Rent was first show I ever saw on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
My first trip to New York, bought tickets from a scalper, and it changed my life. Like I just had never heard voices like that. I just wanted to be Maureen more than anything. Over the years, I'd auditioned like 11 times and never got it.
Wow.
And I auditioned for the movie and didn't get it. And then I got a call and they asked me, do you want to be Maureen in the closing cast of Rent? And I said, yes. Yeah, I said, absolutely. And it was a dream come true. It was a dream summer. You know, at the time, we didn't know we were going to film it. When I first joined, we didn't know, but it was just a cool mixture of people and ages. Like, you know, we weren't all the same age. Yeah. There were people who had done the show since the beginning. There were brand new people. Adam Cantor had just graduated from college. And you know, Tracy Toms had done the movie, and it was just I can't really describe how profound it was, and to have the final show filmed and have that forever. That feeling in that room is unlike, I mean, I think, closing or when it's your last show, for something is always very special. The energy is just like insane, but that was next level. Just an audience full of like former Mimis and former Rogers, former Joannes.
Yeah.
And, it was just like incredible. And I will never forget it.
Are we going to hear some Rent on Saturday?
Say again?
Are we going to hear any Rent on Saturday?
No.
Oh.
No, we're not, unfortunately.
Maybe a little right now. You make me feel.
Yeah.
Jump over the moon. But you actually, talking about closing nights, you did an interview and you had one of the most beautiful quotes, and it was talking about the closing night of Brooklyn, how bittersweet it is, as exciting as making your Broadway debut, and both of you must remember what that must, studying and preparing for this night all your life, and it's actually here, and yours was in Mamma Mia. But the importance you put on the closing night, I thought was really, really beautiful too. And so I think it kind of captures that energy. And Rent became so many different things for so many different people. I think for the conservative, it gave them a view into exactly what the AIDS crisis did, what poverty did. I remember, Eden, we're from the same community in Southern California. When Rent came out, it was like, oh, it was such a different energy. Number one, it changed Broadway. It's like, this is what a Broadway musical sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Then you had all these rich kids running around singing about not being able to pay rent. It's like, bitch, you can pay rent. But that energy and that conversation was now being had in households across the nation. It was so...
Also, just the fact that a musical was like on the cover of like Time and Newsweek, and we're like, usually it's...
And they were druggies. They were,
and they were
trans.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was monumental.
What was it about the character of Maureen? In my mind, she's not one of the most likable characters of the musical. So what was it about her that you were like, this is my girl, this is my role?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it was just like how quirky she was. I liked what she got to sing. And I think I just was like drawn to Idina's voice as well. Like it was the most similar to mine. And so I couldn't tell you like, right. It was like, I want to play that character more than like, I want to sing those songs.
Interesting.
And then, when I got there, it was actually, because I'd had several friends in different casts over the years, and I'd seen it a whole bunch. And I think that I felt, that the character had become kind of jokey in a way.
Interesting.
And I remember talking to Michael Greif, and I was just like, the thing I love about this character is she's not trying to be funny.
Oh, she's
dead
so
serious in her cause that it's like, but
she's so full of herself. Talking about being too woke.
Right.
But that is what's funny naturally. But if you're playing that, no go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also, I had also seen, it was important to me that anyone who was gay that was coming to see me in that role, or who maybe they weren't coming to see me, but I never wanted someone to go, here's a straight girl. Like, just, I wanted it to be the same as if I was with a man. And it was really important for me to have that, have it be real for people, so that they weren't like, why is this straight girl playing this role? I don't buy it. I don't buy that she's in love with her.
It's true, because there's not a lot of opportunity for Maureen and Joanne because they're always fighting. So it's sort of
correct.
So there's that dynamic, which is a real dynamic of relationships, but there's not also a lot of like flirting and like, I fucking love you.
Right.
And like, let's like make out, or, it's
right.
just,
but I think what was beautiful about what Tracy and I found was that they actually do love each other, and that there is something there that keeps drawing them to each other despite their differences. But
Well, I think it was a clear, like, relationships are turbulent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your solo album.
Okay.
You did one where you kind of mixed in Broadway, and then your last one, like I said, Revelation. Listening to it is a revelation. We know that, you know, fans love you for your roles, and then when you put out a solo album, it's like, it's a whole different energy in terms of fandom. What made you pull the trigger and be like, you know what, this is the time for me to do an original album of music that I've written, that this is my voice? And when I tell you, like, you have to listen. We hear Eden's voice in a whole different world.
My second album, I actually was going to be the same as my first, which was like, you know, Broadway songs taken out of context and arranged as if you'd heard them on the radio. And I had found a producer that I wanted to work with who didn't know anything about Broadway or theater. And we were talking, I was telling him about what the project and what I wanted to do. And he said, do you write music? And I said, no, I've always wanted to. And I write a lot, like I, you know, journal a lot, or I write poems sometimes. And I said, but I haven't written any music. And he's like, I've only been talking to you for about 20 minutes. And I think that, like, you should try it. I feel like you have something to say. And why don't we try? And so I took out all my journals and called friends of mine who are more experienced in songwriting than I. And, you know, it happened to be a trying time in my life. I was, you know, going through a separation and then a divorce, and really coming into my own again, and feeling like I had lost my voice and my power and my sense of self. And so all of the songs are kind of around that time. And so it's a very transparent, vulnerable look inside my my innermost thoughts and feelings.
How scary! But how generous of you.
That's a great word
to share that with us.
No, that's a very
wow.
And also to hear the call, like, you know, someone's like, you know, I think you can write music, kid, and you're like, okay, I don't know who you are, and no, like, I can't, or I don't, or what are you talking about? But the fact that you're like, I'm gonna go home, open these journals, call up my friends, get advice, and let's go, like,
yeah, brava. Yeah, I mean, I had to sometimes be dragged by because I was scared, you know, I was really scared. And that had been the thing that had prevented me from doing it before. Just the fear of being bad, or the fear of failing, or the fear of, you know, not being able to do it.
What do you think it was that tipped it over, or that made you not afraid?
I think that I had been that dynamic had been very, like, prevalent in many areas in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was tired of being, like, stopped by fear, or being, like, stifled by fear, or staying in one place because of fear. And I was just like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, and it's also reminding yourself and giving yourself grace that, like, albums, you know, I'm sure much like TV shows and movies, they're time capsules of where you were at that moment.
Yes, 100%.
And you have to be able to give yourself grace enough to go, that's where I was, and it's okay, and I'm proud of my little baby. And but yeah, I have so much respect for songwriters, so it's like, you know, it's it's quite an undertaking, that's for sure.
And it's so naked. Like, we don't hear you behind a script or a role, or even you sound like you because it's your voice, but it's a whole different experience. And so being a fan, hearing some of these songs, is just like, it gives you the chills. It's like, that's the voice, that's the storyteller, regardless of if she's on stage or not. Have you ever thought about writing music?
I've thought about writing.
Yeah.
I've actually, I've written some shorts and scripts and stuff like that. Yeah.
some synergy. Okay, we have to talk about getting through COVID because it was a shitstorm. During COVID, you and Hairspray's Kamala Marshall put on this hilarious game night that kept the party going.
Never invited.
Oh my God.
It wasn't invites. It was just her and I, and then people joined in.
Wait, tell me more about this.
Yeah,
so delicious.
Sorry, now I'm putting my iPad down. There is a musical, a theater company, a regional theater in Long Beach, California, called Musical Theater West. That we
love Musical Theater West. We love Musical Theater West. Support them. Go see their shows, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because, of COVID, our friend Michael Betts at the time, who was working there, was doing all this content every day, like nonstop to keep, to have people send them money and keep people interested. And so Camila and I did a duet one time. We recorded Take Me or Leave Me, actually. And then we told him, like, do you want a night off of this content? Like, we'll give you a night off. We'll like just go on Instagram and play musical theater games. And he's like, yes, I would love that. And so we did it, and we did it every Thursday for almost the first full year of the pandemic. And it was just her and I. We made up, different segments of the show, and we had, we were drinking, and we had a word of the day, and every time we had to take a sip, and we would just take normal games and make them musical theater. So like Pictionary, or Name That Tune, or just reading the lyrics as if it was a monologue, and just funny. We would just make things up.
That sounds so much fun.
I have to tell you,
God, I wish I knew that was happening.
Well, and revisit, and last night you guys kind of came back and did an impromptu. It's so energizing and so hilarious. Like, how when you watch stuff at home, you're like, I don't really laugh out loud. I was laughing out loud. You guys are hilarious. And it just brings so much optimism towards the theater community too. It's like, we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna laugh, and it's gonna be a joke one day. You guys did that.
Yeah. Well, we were approached by this new streaming platform called Broadstream.
Yes. Broadstream.com.
To film episodes, to actually like film episodes during the pandemic. We did it, and we were able to have special guests. And so if you go to Broadstream and watch, you can see actual episodes. So last night is because we hadn't done it in, almost a year and a half on Instagram. And so we were just like, for shits and giggles. Oh, you want to say it? Sorry.
Yes, you can say whatever you want, Eden Espinosa.
Okay. We're just like, let's take it back to Instagram. So that's what last night was.
Yes. I love this. This sounds so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun.
I'm such a musical theater
do you know
nerd.
how many emails I got saying, when can this be a network sitcom show or actual game show? I got many messages, and I tuned in last night. It's so ripe for it. So, you have so many talented friends. So, yes. Eden, I can't tell you the outpouring of love that I received on your behalf with questions for what playing, like we talked about, playing Alphaba meant for so many people, for girls, guys, gay, straight. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And
I'm
also
so happy.
Coming to the Soraya, by the way.
And also La Jolla Playhouse.
Oh, yeah.
What's coming up? With Lempicka, the musical. So come on down.
When?
We start performances June 14th.
Tell us about who directed, who wrote.
I had no clue. La Jolla Playhouse?
Yeah, this is a new musical that I've been in development with for years and years. New writers, Matt Gould and Carson Kreitzer. She wrote the book and the lyrics. Matt Gould wrote the music. Rachel Chavkin is directing.
Ooh.
We were supposed to go to La Jolla Playhouse right when the shutdown happened. So we're happy to be back 2 years later. And it's a musical about the life of Tamara de Lempicka, who was a Art Deco painter. It's a beautiful, epic, amazing story. And we're really excited.
Yes.
So come on down.
And for our audience that doesn't know La Jolla Playhouse, it's usually the tryout place where musicals go experience, La Jolla Playhouse does some of the most quality work I've ever seen. I saw The Wiz with David Allen Greer, and I forget the rest of the cast. It was one of the best productions of The Wiz I've ever seen. And then it didn't go any. I mean, that was it. It was amazing. I'm so excited you're at La Jolla Playhouse. So, girl, we're gonna talk because we need to do like a cast Q&A.
Yes.
Oh,
Please.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. We could even
Great.
come to La Jolla Playhouse. Tony, are you ready to pack
Love
up?
it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Eden, you
Field
are
trip.
so fabulous. You are just
Thank
so wonderful. What a fun theater chat.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I love geeking out with you guys.
So, Barrett, what's a question
Yeah.
you've always wanted to ask Eden, but now that you're not like professional, that you could like ask it, so it's not weird?
Okay. What's Shoshana Bean really like?
Oh my god.
No.
She's just regular.
no,
you
please-
know, you're
please.
one of her good friends.
Yeah. So Shoshana and I are very good, very old friends, and I know.
I was
going
going
to
to tell a Shoshana story. So
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to know
Should we
that.
spill the tea about Shoshana? What's going on?
No, she's so sweetheart. She is a big supporter. She was on this show. We used to have like 6 guests per show.
Mm-hmm.
So she was on with Charlene Tilton from Dallas.
Okay.
Oh my
Like,
God.
What a weird combo, but that's
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
what we were like. Everybody's welcome. So Charlene was talking about Dallas, Shoshana, and I love.
We
we're
all love
good.
Shoshana.
She brought out a magazine and she literally licked. She was reading the magazine during the show. She's like, "Oh, okay." Because Charlene was going on, I almost peed the chair because I'm like, "That is Shoshana."
God bless.
God bless.
That's amazing.
I have a picture, but I loved. It was not just reading the magazine; it was licking the lips and like, yeah. Anyway,
Hilarious. This was so much fun, guys.
Eden, so good to see you again.
Eden, tell everybody where
Good to
you
see
want
you.
them to find you and follow you
I'm on Instagram at Eden Espinosa.
with an S.
My
by the way.
Twitter was hacked, and so I'm not on Twitter anymore.
I
but
saw that.
I can't get my name back, but it's okay. I wasn't really doing Twitter anyway. I'm mostly on the gram.
See you on the gram.
And it's-
some musical theater nerd
It's a
games.
good gram, and you might get an Instagram live.
Yeah.
You are so wonderful,
Thank
and
you.
can't wait to see what you're going to sing. Can you share what solo that you're going to do? At the
We told to move
Soraya.org.
on.
No, solo.
Time Heals Everything from Mac and Mabel.
Okay. Okay. Torch song.
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff I've never done before, which I'm happy.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, you heard it here. Soraya, 10th anniversary. You got to bring out the big guns.
Okay.
Eden, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Barrett,
Well, that was fun.
you're a
and
fabulous co-host.
I am. Well, you're saying that on air. Does that once it goes off air, you're gonna say the same thing?
Oh, I took notes. No, but I'm serious.
I'll take your notes. I want notes.
But like LA, filming 9 to 5, which was very sad. This kind of must excite you. It's like, yeah, I need to.
9 to 5.
That's what like shooting life is like in LA.
Oh no, that was more like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's not. Sorry, it's just long days. Shooting is great, but it's long. It's long days. It's not 9 to 5.
Okay, so if you were,
But I understand the spirit of your comment.
yeah, it's just like very regimented. It's like, oh, okay. So I have to ask,
Yes.
if you were to do a concert night, you have a symphony. What is going to be your solo song?
Ooh. Oh, don't ask me these questions.
Not just like a dream song, but one that you know that you could nail it. My dream song, which I used to do at my cabaret, was "Being Alive."
I mean,
But in my mind, it was the Patti LuPone version.
yeah.
When you hit it so hard, you tend to go flat. So it was never the showstopper that I thought it was going to be.
But
Right?
in your mind, but that's what you're talking about, the mind one, right?
Right.
I feel like it's like finishing the hat. I think it's being alive. It's all those, those Sondheim power ballads.
But
for
like,
me.
what solo would be the most personable for you? That doesn't have to have like bells and whistles. That you're like, I just want to sing this solo.
I feel like finishing the hat.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, just for some of the reasons that Eden and Joshua were talking about, with just the way that Sondheim embodies artists and stuff. Like finishing the hat from Sunday in the Park with George is just, it's so delicious.
It is, and you have a boo, and we know being in the entertainment industry, it's not easy.
It's not easy to explain art and to for your boo to understand the art. You're always turning back too late from the track or
And
the
the ones
stick
you
or the
wanted
dog or
to,
the
I'm
light.
just like... Anyway, Barrett, tell everybody. Did we already do it?
No, should we do it?
I think that you should come out with Barrett Foa boas.
Barrett Foa's okay, do you want to hear something for reals though? You have to.
100%.
Okay, everyone.
Make sure
this
it's
is it.
trademarked.
I have a boa that's made of ferrets.
That's a lie.
I wish I'm going to bring it for you the next time you ask me to co-host.
That's a lie.
But hold on, let me just be clear. They are not real ferrets. They are ferret puppets that are synthetic that I sewed together.
I was gonna say, please don't tell me you made it, and then you just said I sewed together.
I sewed them together, and they're puppets, so they're like this, and they're ferret. It's a ferret boa. My name is Barrett Foa, and I have a ferret boa. You're welcome, America.
Is this for real?
Bow out. Mic drop. It's true. I did it in my solo show.
We've had Anne Heche on the
I did it
show.
in my solo
I've
show.
never been so confused by a guest.
I did. Oh God. Well, welcome
Tony,
to
do
me.
you remember when Anne Heche was on the show? We didn't even know what was happening. We're just like,
Oh my God. Oh, I want to watch that one.
oh, you have to, because it was like we didn't know whether like
Here's the. I'm bringing it back to me.
you're sounding just like her.
I am. What do you mean? There was a reason. There was a reason I had it. There was a reason. Are we supposed to stop? Are we supposed to stop talking?
No.
Okay. The reason I had it is because people would. I was reclaiming. Okay, so I'm not gonna tell the story. Here's where I get.
We have to. Now you have to.
Now we got to.
Reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time. When I was a kid, people would be like, Barrett Foa, that's a weird name. What are you, like ferret boa, like a boa made of ferrets? And I was like, you know what? For my solo cabaret show, zillions of years
Own
later,
it.
I'm gonna freaking own it. I'm gonna make a ferret boa, and just come out with it and just like sling it over my shoulder and be like, yeah, bitch. You know where I get a lot of best play for my ferret boa?
No.
At Burning Man.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah, it's a big hit at Burning Man.
But you took that bullying and like you made it
That's
work.
what I mean. I made it.
But
Yeah.
what young kid knows what a boa is? I didn't know what a boa was until
Lauren Rosenberg did, and she made fun of me all the time, and it really hurt.
She's actually here. Let's bring on
Ladies
Lauren.
and gentlemen, Lauren Rosenberg.
Can you imagine if we found her and called her? Anyway, Barrett, what a joy to have you come back.
It's always so much fun. Thank you, Alexander.
All right. P.S. Joshua announcing the Tonys. If I was announcing the Tonys, they would never let me because I would just put in my friends, be like, you know, what are they going to do? Stop it?
Just a write-in.
Not even write it. I would just announce it. I'd be like, this year's Tony Award, Pedal Pone for standing in the corner. Barrett Foa for best go-out.
It would probably be your last time.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I've had many last times. Anyway.
No.
Thank you so much. Well, that's all, folks. It's always a crab bag of fun here on The Rock.
It sure is.
You never know what's going to happen. A big thank you to our fabulous guest, guest co-host Barrett Foa. Please come back.
Okay.
No, like literally.
Yeah, as long as you keep paying that $20,000 fee, I'm here.
I think I have to pay your Uber home. My engineer, Tony Sweet. Our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Coming up, we are kicking off Pride with dance diva icon Pepper Mache. For the first time in 10 years, she has new music. She's joining the pop group Reverse, visiting from Canada, by the way. And then, you Trekkies, get ready. We have a series of Star Trek episodes with Denise Crosby from Star Trek The Next Generation. And she's going to spill the tea, by the way. How do you know that?
I don't know. Is this Star Trek?
Oh, God, I had such high hopes. Also, we have Issa Briones from Star Trek Picard, along with some other Trekkie
Issa
surprises.
Briones. That's my friend's daughter.
You're lying. You're
John-
lying right now.
John Briones
You're lying right now.
was the other star of Sweet Charity with me and Laura Bell Bundy. John Briones, his daughter is Issa. And she was in Hamilton.
Picard.
But she was in Hamilton too. What's that? Oh, you have a Star Trek wallet.
Is that so? I guess you're going to come back and
Sure.
co-host that one. Anyway, we have a
John's
lot
so
of Star
great.
Trek. We have some other big surprises. I can't announce just yet, but it's happening. Please like, share, subscribe, so we can continue bringing this fabulous programming for free. Until next time, stay tipsy, stay healthy, stay sexy.
Stay hydrated. And warm up in your car.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.